Let's talk about due diligence. Here it is. It's a Saturday. We're going to do a little bit longer of a video. We're talking about due diligence. Why is due diligence important? Well, here's a very big example I was thinking about today. We bought a few smoke shops outside of Atlanta, Georgia. They came in from, an acquaintance through a network called Subject 2, and he was going to be the operator. Well, he is the operator, and we're going to come in and we're going to move things around and make it work. Well, you know, we had everything. We had bank statements. We went through the bank statements. We had tax returns. We had uncles involved that were doing the tax returns, paying the county and state taxes and the sales tax. And we had everything we needed to close this deal. So we get there. I fly out there, get on a plane, fly out there, and I find a clusterfuck, and that's the simplest thing that could possibly happen. The simplest way I can possibly phrase it. So we get out there. We're looking at the books. We're doing the inventory. The guy's got lottery. He's got those ding ding machines, they call them. They're like slot machines you put in gas stations or whatever they are. So, we get out there and it's a mess. It's a complete mess. So we're going through what's owed, what's not owed, what the inventory is, what the lottery numbers are, what he's actually selling us versus what's in the case versus what's this. And we're deep diving into this due diligence because we've got closing in 24 or 36 hours, whatever it was. And we closed this deal real fast. But we thought we had all the due diligence. So, we're getting down this road and we're finding out that, the scratch off lottery tickets don't actually equal $6,000, which is what he was, quoting us was the number. They were a third of that, maybe. So, we get into all this, we find this, we're looking through the point of sale systems, and we're going through this and we're going through that. The sales are coming in, they're coming in. Everything on the face of it looks legit from any buyer coming in and knowing what they're looking for. You couldn't have predicted what we uncovered via fraud. That's all you could say it was. It was just fraud. So, we went through everything. We took over the business, stroked the check, and took over the business. Now the work really began, right? So we're like, call the lottery because we're not supposed to keep the lottery tickets. That was fraud. He sold us something he wasn't allowed to sell us. Diving deeper into, the ding ding machines and the scratch off tickets, and he wanted to charge us something like $12,000 or $18,000 for the lottery tickets. Well, come to find out, he only had $3,000 worth of lottery tickets. He was stealing them. The employees had videos of him pulling them out, scratching them off, giving them to an employee, and the employee cashing them in at a different store down the street and giving him the money. They have video evidence of all this. Not only was he doing that, part of the ding ding machines, that's such a funny word, ding ding machines, but part of that contract with the state is the owner is not allowed to take revenue from the business and gamble it in the machines. So his books were all fucked up. Needless to say, he would take his cash register money, he'd put it in the ding ding machine, and then it would just be a continuous vicious circle, and it would make his money go up. Right? His books would rise, and there's nothing you can do about it. At this point, we already own the business. He's gone. He can't do anything about it. We own the bank accounts. We own the stores. We own the leases are transferred. Everything is completely done. but the old owner was just running. I mean, the only way I can describe it is just pretty much a Ponzi scheme. Scratching off the lottery tickets, sending somebody down the street to cash them in, bringing the cash back, putting it in there, taking the cash out of the drawer, putting it into the ding ding machine, he would win in the ding ding machine. He put the cash back in the drawer because they'd have to cover, because with the lottery system, you put the money in and then they give it to you, and then you keep the cash in the machine, and then the lottery actually drafts your bank account. So if you're taking it out of there, taking it from one pot, putting it in another, you're just running a vicious circle. So all the income, all the numbers, everything completely screwed up. No way to tell from the outside until you actually call the lottery and deal with the contracts and change the contracts, because nobody's going to talk to you unless you're the owner and you have the licenses changed in your names, the lottery licenses, the whatever the smoke shop licenses are for the gummies and the THCs and all that fun stuff. So we go into this place, we absolutely tear it apart, and we just take all and reorganize the whole place. There was so much shit in here. We probably had 6 dumpsters of just expired or trash stock or just shit in general, from hoarding, and we just threw it all out. So we made a clean environment, open, airy, light environment for customers to come in. So, once we did that, as we were doing that, we had management going through everything, going through the books. We're getting pegged in the face by bills he never paid on the way out the door. One after another, after another, after another. Fraud that he's committing. Stolen inventory that he took out of the cabinets that the employees have videos of watching him do. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The guy was literally just trying to just rip us off. So, what it came down to was we had a seller finance deal. Okay, we had a seller finance deal. We had, I don't know, maybe it was like $375,000. It was a $40,000 deal. $40,000 down, first payment, and then so many, after the month, based upon his books and his revenue and his bank statements and his tax returns. So all this was subject to that. The contract was all subject to what he provided us, and providing it wasn't fraud. So this deal was all wrapped up, everything signed, we took over everything. We go and find out that it's not what it seems. Well, what did we do? We ended up, I confronted the guy. I said, look, first payment's coming due, but nothing you gave us is accurate. They've got evidence of fraud. They've got evidence of false police reports for people stealing, when you reported employees stealing lottery tickets, when you actually are on camera giving them to him, scratching them yourself, giving them to the employee to go cash them down the street. So everything with this guy was just fake, lies, and deceit. So fast forward down the road, I confronted this guy. I told him, look, I'm not paying you another freaking dime. Oh, let me back up a second. So we, the 40 grand down, and then we got everything that was missing off the list. I think we ended up somewhere around $27,000. It was right at $30,000 with expenses to be there and move things around and catch everything up. So we're right at $30,000 with the buy-in. So he got that, and then dumped everything else in our lap. So we turned everything around. We got everything growing, and it's slow and it's painful, and it was slow and it was painful, and that's just the way it was. And I don't know what else to say about that. It's just a bitch when you get in this situation. We did everything on the front end that we thought we could possibly do until we saw this. So what we did smart, we got a seller finance deal, subject to fraud, his financials, so on and so forth, like I said a minute ago. And then I confronted him. I sat him down. You can't do this. This is fraud. He even brought a witness that was a retired police officer, and he basically sided with me when it came down to it. I literally have a list in my notebook. Where's my notebook over here? That he he did. That was fraud that he could actually be arrested and go to jail for. There was at least 7 items. Then came, the different financial problems that, we paid for that he should be paying us back for. So we went in and sat down and just told him straight up, I'm not paying you another freaking dime. I'm not giving you a dime. It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. You can sue me, but I'm going to squash you like a gnat and you're going to go to jail for a minimum of 12 to 15 years based upon what you've done, the fraud you've created. I mean, we even found out that he took $30,000 contract upfront fee from the Ding Ding sales rep, right? Account manager, if you will, to put the machines in his thing and never gave the guy a dime. He never paid for the ATMs. He never paid for the Coke machines. He never paid for ... So I just laid it out for him. And I just told him, you're not getting a dime. And that's just the situation. And he said, okay. I mean, he said, a few other choice words. But what are you going to do? You're confronted with the truth. People hate the freaking truth. When you tell them the truth, they don't give a fuck. They hate you forever. If you lie to them, they'll love you forever. So, he lied, he falsified stuff, documents, financials maybe. I mean, not really financials because we could see it all. It was just a lie. Money was coming from going out one and into the other. So, what did we learn? Don't trust anybody. Get in there, run the business for a week or two before you take it over, right? Do a takeover period. Do a trial run. Whether it's seller finance. In this situation, I mean, we got lucky because of the deal we did. Now, if we would have just did a deal where it was the bank and we took out a loan, we would just be screwed. You know what I mean? Or an SBA or whatever type loans you could get with the businesses. So, we did basically all seller finance. We had our own cash and we did seller finance. We're not out any money. The business is running. The problem is, it was just a longer ramp up time. It was like 8-9 months. Now we're ramped up and we're just coasting. It's not even to where it should have been and we expected it to be, when we bought it. It's not there yet. So it takes a lot longer. It's going to take a year or two to get this place back to being right after it's cleaned up. So, we're very thankful that, it could have been worse. And we're very thankful that we structured it the way we did and we didn't have a lot of debt on it and we don't have any debt on it, right? It's all ball busting, hard, sweat, equity, labor, cleaning the shops. I mean, I was down there, twice, 2-3 times a month, cleaning this thing, reorganize it. Every time I go down there to check on it, we reorganize stuff. I don't like this. I don't like that. We make it better. What the customers say, what's this, what's this. And you just got to constantly make it better. Constantly. So, the moral of the story is get in there, work with the business before you take it over, especially if you're taking money, a loan, collateral, whatever it may be, because you don't know what's going to hit you in the face when you open that door. Right? We knew from the beginning that we didn't want this guy to hang around because he was a little shaky. And I don't mean shaky as in like a liar. I just mean shaky as in like annoying. He hung around with the riffraff that would come up and we were trying to get rid of that and we didn't want any of that. But yeah, you just got to keep going. I hate to use the word grinding, but you can't stop. When you're going through hell, you just keep on going. That's what it is. You go through it. You get things built back to zero, and that's where we got it. And then everything starts climbing up. So that's just the way it is. But seller finance is creative finance is the hell of a way to do a deal to protect yourself from the downside. There's many ways to do a deal, right? We knew that if he was, making it up and lying and everything, we had an out. We could walk away and saddle him up with all the BS, right? Give it back to him. We didn't have to pay him. Now, in this case, we decided to keep it. It's a very profitable business when it's done right? It's very lucrative. The items are, got some of them got 70 something percent margins. So, it's very profitable. So we just had to keep going, keep pushing, keep pushing. So again, deal structure is very important. Money has rules, and deal structure is very important. If you're going to buy something like this with a loan, I'll say it again, SBA, a bank loan, personal guarantee, HELOC from your house, however you want to do it, great business, but just you have to work it. My opinion is you work the business before you take it over. Know where the money's coming, know where it's going, go in there and get it. The bank accounts, all that stuff, that can all, he could take money out of his own pocket, put it in the ding ding machines and call it revenue. That was one of the biggest issues, right? Taking out the cash register, which is his money, and putting it in the other door, putting it in another income pot. So you got to watch out for all that stuff. So get in there, get your hands dirty, work the business before you take it over. Work it in, like an earn-in type of deal. You've got SBA loans, you got bank loans, you could take out HELOCs on your house. Creative finance is a great way to protect yourself. And it's not just for real estate. It's not just for, multifamily or single family or RV parks or mobile home parks. Creative finance is for anything, all of it, right? And you build a capital stack. It could be some equity, some debt, some out of pocket, some, over here, a little bit of debt from this one, that one. It's a creative stack, right? So just get creative and cover your ass no matter what you're buying. HVAC, electrical, plumbing, vape shops, CPA firms, whatever it is that's on the market these days, whatever's hot. RV parks. I look at RV parks. It's a business before it's a piece of dirt. So evaluate the business, and then it's dirt. Mobile home parks, business, then dirt. Mobile home parks depreciate. They don't appreciate. Mobile homes, let me rephrase that. The land appreciates. The mobile homes depreciate. They go down in value. They don't go up. So the moral is protect yourself, right? Keep going. Don't quit. Protect your downside before you worry about the seller's upside or fixing the seller's problem. Make sure it fixes your problems or any problems that can arise and covers your ass. Make sure the seller gets what he wants, but make sure you're covered. If you're not covered, walk away from the deal. Daniel Brody here. Money has rules.